Yep, we're live. Now I could send you the YouTube link. Hang on.
Okay.
We're live in 3, 2.
Okay, I see it. I got it.
Oh, you have the link?
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
And now I can share this on, but we're also live on all of my channels, right?
Correct. That is correct. Yes. Would you like me to start to post that we're live now?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm on it. And what will we be talking about today? Bear.
Well, we're going to be talking about what I call getting shit done. So I went through a period, I guess, in the late 80s, early 90s, when I wasn't terribly motivated. Oh, maybe it was more like yeah, it wasn't in the 80s. It was probably in the 90s. And I wasn't terribly motivated. And I had trouble. I had a real problem with procrastination. And it still pops up now and then, where I'll have something to do. And maybe it's not the thing that I would really love to be doing. Although I know that once I start doing it, I can find the joy in it. I'm always capable of finding the joy in a thing. But so I end up procrastinating. And so I have a philosophy. So I'm going to take a little sidetrack. I've been planning for years. I've been planning to write a book, and someday I will write this book called Bear's Laws. And Bear's Laws
with Murphy's
list of Bear's Laws, and these are like rules that I live by for life, and they're ways that I have overcome the various ways in which I have traditionally sabotaged myself. And one of them is procrastination. And so Bear's Law number 1 has always been do shit and shit gets done. And so you know, the trick for me to getting past procrastination, and this always works 100% of the time for me, is to do the first step, just the first step, whatever that is. Open the page in my word processor, write one sentence, pick up my guitar and play some scales. You know, whatever the thing is, to just getting past that threshold of the actual doing. And you know, I can tell myself, I can give myself permission to just you know, I'm just going to write one sentence. You know, I'm just going to get the spreadsheet open on my computer, and then I'll come back to it and I'll see it and I'll come back to it and I'll do something later. But that getting over the threshold of getting that first bit done always seems to be enough to just create that little bit of momentum that just leads to productivity and creativity. And so, you know, whatever that thing is, let's say I've got a tough programming problem and I've been thinking about it for a week and I haven't really figured out how I'm going to address the thing, right? So I'll just, you know, I'll open it up in my editor, and I'll just, you know, create a little framework of the, you know, like a little hello world kind of beginning to my programming. And then, okay, well, maybe I'll start writing this little bit, and I'll just start writing, you know, just tackle the easy bits, you know, or just break it down into a whole bunch of component pieces. And okay, I'm just going to tackle this little one right here. And once I do that, once I write that first sentence, once I open that spreadsheet or whatever it is, always 100% of the time, it leads to me doing more. And I'll, you know, look up and it'll be a half an hour later and I'll have gotten a bunch of work done. Or sometimes 2 hours later or 4 hours later, or I've forgotten 2 meals later. You know, it's getting over that little threshold is, for me anyway, often the hardest part. You know, again, I'm going to refer to my camera is doing this thing with the focus again. And I'm going to move this little focus thing, and it's going to do something crazy here. It always does it. Then I can focus, and it'll go back in a moment, and it will.
Ready for my close up?
Yeah, right. And it will have discovered that it's got me. It's really not. I'm going to try it again.
That zoom in was pretty. Oh, that's classic. That looks great.
It did it briefly, and then. Yeah, so I hate these cameras, and I am going to replace these cameras at some point. It's just going to cost some money that I don't have right now, but yeah, I think that's better. Though I have it on manual focus, it goes in autofocuses for me. I should maybe buy lenses that don't even have the autofocus feature, that are only manual focus lenses. That might actually be cheaper than replacing the cameras. In any event, so getting over that little threshold, 100% of the time, it will solve that problem for me, and I end up, getting shit done. I was reminded when I was thinking about this today, I was reminded of Elvis Presley. And Elvis Presley, for most of his career, he wore a chain around his neck, gold, of course, because he was Elvis, and with jewels. But it had a lightning bolt and the letters TCB. And a lot of people have wondered over the years, what was TCB? What was TCB? TCB stood for taking care of business. And that was his motto. And it was the motto of his band. And that was like their thing is, you do shit and shit gets done. If you listen to Aretha Franklin's version of respect, RESPECT, find out what it means to me, right? They got the background singers, CB. Yeah, you can hear it, can't you? Yeah, and that's the same thing. That's Elvis's TCB, taking care of business.
So I have a question.
Please.
Do you think that Bayes' laws will be right up there with Newton's and Murphy's laws?
Maybe Murphy.
What was that one you were talking about, Ricky? Cole's law.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Come on. We're going to do that again. Somewhere in here, I'm looking for it. I got it somewhere in here. I got Bayes' laws, and there's quite a few.
Titled it Bears, Paws, and Laws.
Bayes' laws. So far, I have 21 of them. But the first one is you do shit and shit gets done.
Bears, Paws, Laws, and White Claws, baby.
And there ain't no laws when you're drinking claws.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws.
And reading Bayes' laws.
Honestly, we can do a whole podcast on each one of these. Some of them are silly. 98.7486% of all statistics are entirely made up.
There's no way.
Is that real?
There's no way.
Is that real?
You gotta think about it. It's a little bit recursive, including this one.
That statistic is also made up.
Exactly. Samuel Clemens, what's his name? Mark Twain.
I'm triggered.
He used to love to say that there's three kinds of lies. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics. But that doesn't mean to disbelieve all statistics. It means to look carefully at how the statistics are constructed, because
correlation is not equal to causation.
Statistics and the math behind statistics can be a little bit complicated, and if you don't and most people don't really understand how they work, and so you can come up with some statistic, and it's telling just a small part of the story, but it's just the part of the story that fits the narrative that you're trying to push, and that's what Mark Twain was talking about.
Also, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Yes. That is very true.
I don't know why that was the only thing that stuck with everyone, like across the board.
analogies are just as bad as statistics. They can be very, very, here's another one. Life is a sexually transmitted disease with 100% mortality.
Damn.
Have you seen, have either of you seen Modern Family?
Life. Pardon?
Have either of you seen Modern Family, the show?
I saw a few episodes like in the beginning of the first season, and it was funny and it was entertaining, but it was never compelling enough to keep my attention.
Right. I haven't seen all of it, but I have seen this episode where Phil, the father character, releases a book titled, I think, like Philisms or Phil's Philosophy. Philosophies. Yeah. And this is giving quite similar energy.
Yeah.
One of the philosophies that stuck with me the most was, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Life will be all like, what? Or something like that.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask, kind of going back to procrastination. So say you open up that word sheet, you give yourself, just one sentence. Have you ever had a moment where you gave yourself like the bare minimum, pun intended, to complete, to get through the threshold? You write that one sentence and you're still like, nah, not really feeling this, but I did the one thing that I said I was going to do.
That, honestly, I can't remember when it's ever happened like that.
Okay.
Every single time that I can remember, it'll lead to me, at least a half an hour of productivity and creativity.
But even the thought, after you get past that first step, knowing that you'll continue with the project, does that ever make you procrastinate even more? Does that make sense?
I don't know. Sometimes I'll have a lot of trouble getting to that first threshold. And I'll tell myself, okay, all I got to do is open it up. And then I'll find 13 other things that I got to do before I do that. That does happen, but, it doesn't get to the point anymore where it used to get when I was really having this problem, where I would be down to the wire and having to make excuses to clients or something like that. And, that has not happened in many years. And, I attribute that to this. My friend Steve Barnes, who I think I've spoken about him before on our podcast. He's a very accomplished science fiction writer. And he has a philosophy. He says, if you write one sentence a day, you'll finish a novel in a year. And that's not to say that your novel is going to be 365 sentences. What it means is that when you write that one sentence, you're going to write at least 10 or, maybe more. It's really the same philosophy. And it's okay. He says, it's okay. Maybe you just write the one sentence. You got to give yourself permission to do that. And I certainly give myself permission to just do that bare minimum. But, it never really happens that I end up doing that bare minimum.
I think the hardest hurdle would be getting into that routine. The very first sentence, just getting into the routine of doing that every day. And it seems like a good philosophy or a good way to avoid procrastination for people who could get over that first hurdle, but I don't think that it would work for everybody.
Well, I'd be interested to hear if there's people out there that actually do this and it does not end up working for them. I would be interested to hear that. And I think it's certainly possible that there's people out there who have, enough other shit going on in their life or in their brain or whatever, that that maybe they have some other things they have to solve first.
You got it. Yeah. Chime in the comments, guys. Would this method work for you? Do you have a different method that you prefer to avoid procrastination? Or are you more like me and you just say, you know what? Maybe I have ADHD, and then you go to a a psychologist and they say, hey, how have you survived this far? You have severe ADHD. And then, blame all your procrastination issues on that.
So snowballing off of that, I was just about to say, there are days where I wake up motivated, ready to get stuff done. I like that we're using this as like a theme, but like I go to write that first sentence, or I go to start my day with the motivation, knowing that I'll get it done. And I'll run into an issue, like say my computer needs updating. This is all theoretical, hypothetical, however you want to look at it.
Running updates is a wonderful distraction.
And so, okay, I run the update. What else can I get done? So there are moments where I'll get into it, and then something stops me from doing the thing that I put my mind to doing. And then I just kind of like ping pong around for the rest of the day. I get stuff done, but in a very like sporadic, like squirrel like manner, if that makes sense. It gets done, just not in the way that my CDO would appreciate.
Yeah. CDO, for those who don't know, is our in-house version of OCD. It's exactly like OCD, except the letters are in alphabetical order like they're supposed to be.
As they should be.
So I have a relevant TikTok to show you guys. Here, I will turn off my avatar for a second here.
Okay.
I have a very relevant TikTok to show you guys.
Okay, but before we get to that, I want to respond just a little bit to what Kirsten said. And Kirsten, remind me of what you said. I'm sleep deprived.
About getting to that one, going to write the one sentence.
Right. Okay, so first of all, I have a rule that I never run updates on my computer in the middle of a project. And this is for two reasons. One, it can be a distraction. And two, those updates may break something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's happened more than once where I've ended up having to spend 2 days fixing shit just to get back to where I was before I started running the updates. And so I know a lot of creative people who just never run updates in the middle of a project. And I've known people who've been in the middle of one project after another for like years and years and have not run updates. That's not a good idea. You need to run your updates, as often as you can. But if I'm in the middle, like right now, I'm in the middle of my SQL course and I'm almost done. I'm hoping to finish tonight. I will not run updates. And then in the days afterwards, I'll run updates and I'll have what I call piddle days, where I will just do piddly things, not have any goals and not have any specific direction. I can surf TikTok or whatever. I'm not really a TikTok guy, but I might doom scroll through Twitter, or finish whatever novel I'm on my Kindle. My Kindle is sitting right here. I'm very anxious to finish this novel.
I know what you're reading.
And it's I think book 21 in the series. I love long series of novels. It's like one of my things that I really, really love. And so, anyway, go ahead, Rick Kitty, show us your TikTok.
Okay, here we go. So you're gonna have to read it, but let me. Okay.
Oh gosh.
Oh, hold on. My
I can read
crap
that.
is flipped. Hold on.
I could maybe zoom in, but
No, it was good, Rick.
Hang on. Oh, it was good?
Yeah, I could read it. I was just zooming. I was zooming my own face in.
Are you sure you can read it?
Yeah, ADHD girls, gays, and theys. I found the perfect productivity hack. Take a research methods class. Last night, I spent 2 hours so bored out of my mind.
I'm so bored out of my mind that I did my therapy homework. I did my taxes. I sent like 20 emails. The links I will go to be entertained in research methods. I have never been more productive in my entire life. So basically, like, to avoid doing something else, do the thing that you
sign yourself up for something that's incredibly boring.
Exactly.
So, if it works for you, it works for you. This is one of my philosophies, definitely, is whatever floats your boat, whatever, rings your bell. If it works for you, do that. This is what works for me. And I suspect that it works for a lot of people, because I've heard other people have other versions of this, like Steve Barnes is a sentence a day. It's that begin thing, do the thing that qualifies as beginning.
Yeah, that first step.
The other stuff will flow after it. Hey, Ricky, do we have any people? How's our
Oh, we sure do. We actually have 2 people on Twitch right now, which is cool. We had 3 people on Facebook. I'm gonna have to refresh that. And let's check. LinkedIn is at 6.
yeah, how about YouTube?
Oh, good question.
Because
So
I shared the
it's
YouTube
one.
link on my personal Facebook.
Yeah, YouTube right now is at 1.
Woohoo!
Okay, very well. Hello, everybody. We've been talking about procrastination, and if you're late, that's because you procrastinated. Do we have any comments?
Not that I could see yet.
Okay. So, failing that, do you guys have any questions on this, or can I move on to another one?
Go for it. What else?
Another one?
Oh, I got
Another
a
one.
list of Bear's Laws here. I could just go on to number 2.
Okay.
Boom.
But I knew that was coming, because I was like, wait, he's
Yeah.
already read like 3 of them.
Well,
So
it's actually, I hadn't realized this, but Bear's Law number 2 is very number 2-ish. It says humans are messy. And what this means is that how with computers you know what you're getting, it's going to follow the instruction, it's going to follow the instruction, it's going to do the thing and do the thing. If it doesn't work, you can turn it off and turn it back on again. But humans are not like that at all. Humans oftentimes make no sense whatsoever. They'll do things that sabotage themselves. They will they'll get all emotional or whatever it is. And so in order to deal with humans, you see, and this comes again, because of my neurodivergence places me, at least from my perspective, outside looking in at humanity, because I've never felt like, one of the humans in the room. I've always felt like the alien observing these strange creatures. And so, for me to be able to deal with humans is often very, very, very confusing, because they'll do things that make no sense, that work against their own best interest. And I could easily go off on a tangent about politics here, but I'm not going to. But the trick to dealing with the humans is to just understand that they're messy, and just, go in with the presumption that they're going to be messy, and expect that. And then it just then it's not like a blame thing. It's not like, oh my God, you're such an idiot, which is how I notice that a lot of humans deal with other humans who are doing things that they perceive as idiotic, which they themselves are also doing. And more often than not, when I see somebody blaming somebody else for something, it's usually something that they see in themselves that they don't like.
Ooh, projection
onto somebody else.
Yeah.
And so all of this falls under the humans are messy. And yeah, go ahead, Kirsten.
when you say you feel like an alien looking at humans from like the outside looking in, is it giving like out of body experience? Like, do you feel out of body watching?
No, I definitely feel
Okay.
very much within my own circle. It's just that there's not often anybody else in that circle with me.
Do you struggle to understand other people? Because I do that all the time. It's like very difficult to understand sometimes what other people are actually really thinking.
Yeah, I don't consider that something to be important to me. If they wanted me to know what they're thinking, they would tell me. And if they do tell me, I believe them. When somebody tells me something about themselves, I start out with, I believe you, until and unless they do something that proves that, well, maybe that wasn't, maybe that was just for my benefit and it wasn't something that was actually real within them. But no, I mean, I'm not interested in, I think it would be an intrusion for me
Gotcha.
to, I mean, if I had a psychology degree and I were in a professional setting where I was analyzing somebody, then yeah, I've been given permission. But no, not without your permission. I'm not going to psychoanalyze you without your permission.
Gotcha. Okay, so we do have a comment on Facebook
Yeah.
from Tyler J. Bird. He says, "Hi, Bill. This is Tyler. Bought the CGI book."
Oh my God. So I wrote the CGI book in what, 1995 or something.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't the first book that I had written, but it was the first book that was published by a major publisher. And it did really, really well. And it sold out its first printing almost immediately. And the publisher decided they didn't want to be in that market anymore. They reverted the copyright back to me, which I now own, and they never printed it anymore. So there were only 7,000 ever printed. They sold really well. They got really great reviews. And, the internet and technology around the internet was moving so fast at the time that it just, I mean, the protocol CGI, the Common Gateway Interface, is still widely used on every website. It's just that it's very, very rarely used directly. Usually you've got some library or some JavaScript thing or something that's handling it for you. And so, the market for it dried up pretty quick, and I just never, I did do a course on lynda.com, which may still be in the library if you search for it on CGI.
So he has one of 7,000 copies ever made.
Yeah.
Oh, limited edition.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should send it in to get signed.
I was just going to say that, Jinx.
I understand they're going for about $1.50 on eBay. So
$150. Wow.
So let me ask this, Tyler, and you can answer in the comments. Do you have the original CD that came with it?
Ooh.
It came with a CD in the binding that had all of the examples, so that you didn't have to type them in.
Was it a CD-ROM? I'm assuming, like, for your computer. Okay.
CD-ROM, yeah.
I didn't know if you were like jamming out and you were like, "Hey, here's my EP."
No, I've never published music in that medium, although yeah. So I'd love to hear if he has the CD-ROM.
He says, yes, he does.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, thank you. If you're ever in Vegas, let me know and I'll sign it for you.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
That's so sick. What year did you say you wrote it?
I
95.
believe it was 95, if I'm remembering correctly.
So this must have been the early days of CGI.
Yeah, this was like the beginning of the public internet. I mean, the internet went public. The internet was originally called DARPANet, and it was only open to, it was owned by the US government, and it was only open to universities and research institutions. And they opened it to the public, I believe, in 90 or 91. And the World Wide Web started up a guy named Tim Berners-Lee out of Switzerland, I believe. He created the first web server and web browser, and that was maybe 92 or 93. And by 95, when I wrote that, I mean, the internet was like this hot new thing that people were talking
Shrek.
about.
What do you think about web? Isn't it called Web 2.0, or basically the meta universe?
Well, so, Web 2.0 is more or less what we have today with all the JavaScript and everything. Web 3.0 is what people
Oh, that's what I meant.
now. And, I don't know. I'm more of a back end guy. I'm more interested in the technologies behind the scenes than I am in, the design of the actual applications.
Gotcha.
So, that stuff I look at it and, yes, Miss Hilgendorf.
This
Mrs.
might be a dumb question, but I'm assuming, but you always know what assuming does, that CGI is like what they use in like animated movies or movies with real people. And
this is another point of confusion because the CGI that I wrote a book about is the Common Gateway Interface, which is how the web browser talks to the web server, or the application that you're running on the web browser talks to the web server. It's a very specific, the CGI that you see in movies is computer generated imagery.
so I just thought that maybe I had the acronym wrong because I've been wrong before in my life, believe it or not.
They are two, they're like homonyms.
Okay.
They're two different things that are spelt the same way. Yeah, and actually, what's weird about that is that my sister Linda, at the time when I was doing my CGI book, she was very much involved in the computer generated imagery in the film version of CGI, and she was doing things like she did animation for the first Star Wars films. She was working in Hollywood doing those things.
Wow.
And I was, working I was sitting in my apartment in Dallas at the time, writing.
Town.
Yeah. Yeah. So, two different things from two different angles, same initials, and me and my sister were both working on it. And that's my sister Linda, who ended up starting lynda.com. Pardon?
That's not the first time that's happened though, right? Haven't y'all done other similar things?
Well, yeah, we come from the same parents, so, and we both grew up in the same town in Hollywood. So yeah, we've done similar things over the years, and the thing, it's interesting in my family, my sister and I have always been closer than I have been with my other siblings. I think that Linda gets me in ways that my other siblings may not. And, I've also been close with my younger brother, Steve. My other siblings, we like each other, we see each other. It's not like there's any problems between us. We've just never really been close. And I was also close with my dad, and my dad passed away about 10 years ago, maybe 11, 12 years ago. And I've not really been very close with anybody else in my family. I know that my mom wishes I would call her more often.
Yeah.
Occasionally I do, and it makes her very, very happy. But again, it's that same thing with my neurodivergence, feeling like it's not just that I feel like I'm, and maybe I should really do an episode about what it was like for me growing up with undiagnosed autism, and not really being diagnosed until I was in my late 30s. And and what the next 30 years have looked like as I got acclimated to it and learned more about it and learned how to drive it and coexist in the world. But part of that for me has always been a need to protect myself emotionally and sometimes physically from the strange creatures around me
From my hugs.
who call themselves human. Well, it's weird, because I understand the sentiment there. And what Kirsten was talking about, the first time we ever met in person, Kirsten had already been working for me for a while. We had already developed a friendship online because Kirsten works remote. I live in Vegas and I work in Vegas, and Kirsten lives in Texas. And yeah, that's the Longhorns, right? Is that one?
This is rock and roll because I
This is rock and roll, but this is the Longhorns, isn't
I
it?
am not a Longhorns fan. We're not going
Okay.
to go there.
Well, I did live in Austin for a little while, but anyway, yeah. So the first time we met, Kirsten came in for a hug, and and I was like, oh, okay, and it must have been very, very weird, but
I'm pretty sure you said something along the lines of, well, this is happening.
yeah, I really don't like to be touched, and until somebody gets, very, very close to me, like me and my wife, and we touch all the time, and it feels like she's, she has somehow, and I have no idea how this happened, but she somehow got into my circle and became part of this cocoon, and is allowed into this cocoon that I've built around myself. And I have no idea why. It's not like we have very many things in common. Hell, we hardly speak the same language. And but somehow there's this, and she's definitely not on the spectrum. She's a very social person. So I really don't understand that, but I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful that I have her in my life, and I love her dearly. But yeah, so maybe at some point I should really do an episode on this strange experience of growing up amongst aliens.
I agree. Looks like Miss Rickety has a question. She's got her hand
Yes,
up.
thank
She's
you.
got
Not a
she's got the
question.
electronic hand up.
Yep, I can't move my damn arms. We've been over this, but I have it raised because we have a comment again from Tyler J. Bird on your Facebook
Oh,
stream.
hey, Tyler, long time.
Long time no chat.
Exactly. He says that he also has Linda's Designing Web Graphics, CGI.
Oh, so Designing Web Graphics was Linda's first book. And this was the book that started off the whole thing that eventually became lynda.com, and then from there became LinkedIn Learning. So, I mean, I'll tell the story a little bit. And I don't like telling other people's stories, but I can tell it from this perspective, I think. Linda wanted to write, because the web was new, and it was around the same time that I was writing my CGI book. The web was brand new, and people were designing for the web, and they were building these web pages that were phenomenally ugly. And she wanted to teach people how color works in that environment. And so she did a bunch of research, and she came up with some paradigms, and she wrote this book, and she shopped it around, and nobody wanted to publish it. Partly because technical books at that time were never printed in color, and she needed it to be printed in color, and she wanted it to be printed on art quality stock, like for like a nice art book. And she finally found a small publisher who would publish that for her, and it became a giant hit. And the royalties started rolling in, and she said, well, I'm gonna start a school. And she was at the time, she was a professor at an art school in LA called the Art Center College of Design, which is a full 4-year university. And so she quit her job. She took her royalty checks. She quit her job. She moved to Ojai, which is a nice little sleepy little community, like between LA and Santa Barbara. And she rented a building and set up a classroom and started doing these in-person classes. And I came in to teach HTML at the time. And eventually Linda and I wrote a book together, HTML something or other. I don't remember what it was called.
Just throw that in Google.
Yeah. So, but that school eventually became the online school, lynda.com, which eventually became LinkedIn Learning. So there's that story, but yeah, it's a great book.
Is your sister's name also Linda?
Linda Weinman is my sister.
Okay.
And she is the Linda of lynda.com.
Why did I never put 2 and 2 together? Maybe because I didn't assume that
I
one.
would take that up with your math teacher.
Burn.
I remember her name. It was Mrs. Winkler.
You see, that's the whole problem. Her and her brother Henry, who played the Fonz on TV. We've all got famous siblings.
Except for me, not yet, at least.
Did you just wink?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I can't. I'm trying.
Oh, I just saw one of the eyes.
Yeah, look at that.
That's the closest I could get. Well, that's
Go
okay.
like this.
Nope. Nope, but I tried. Okay, we have another comment from, again, Tyler J. Bird, and I'm not quite sure what you're referring to here, Tyler, so please elaborate in this comment. He says, do it, Bill. Do what? There's mystery here. There is intrigue. I like it.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, maybe about him doing a podcast or a live stream episode about being an alien.
Oh,
Was it while we were talking about that, maybe?
yeah.
Maybe go back and look at the timestamp. Because I totally agree. I
Oh,
think
he says his book.
Oh, write your book about you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have over the years suggested that I write a memoir. And I've never been terribly interested in doing it. But I see these podcasts and now these live streams as being sort of part of that. I just get to talk about myself and my colorful history and the experiences of my life. And I think this will kind of serve as the permanent record if anybody is interested.
Oh, yeah. And he says his book about being partially autistic.
Yeah, I'm not partially autistic. I am solid on the spectrum. There's a scale, or at least I was diagnosed 30 years ago, so I don't know how they do it today. But at the time there was something they called the AQ scale or something like that. And 0 to 15 was like a normie, or I call a neuronormal, which is, the people who walk around every day fitting in as humans. And then like above 15 and up to about, I think it was 30, was considered what they called Asperger's, which, as I understand it, the term Asperger's is no longer in the DSM, because partly because it's named after a literal Nazi who learned what he learned by experimenting on children, Jewish children. But beyond that is, beyond 30 is what they call, autism in all its various forms. And I came in at about a 39, and yet I'm considered a high functioning autistic because not necessarily because I get along with people, because I don't, but because well, I've learned to. I've learned to do an impression of a neuronormal.
My favorite.
But because I was able to accomplish things in my life and some things that required collaboration with others. But every job that I had in my life, from the time, up until I learned that I could do consulting instead of getting a job. But all those jobs that I had early in my life, through the 70s and the early 80s, I got fired from every single one of them. Mostly just because people couldn't stand to be around me. And I totally get it. I had trouble being around myself at the time. And then I discovered that I could do contract work. And the contract work was always, you come in, you get this job done, you get paid, and you go on to the next thing. And so people were able to tolerate me in smaller dosages. So yeah, but yeah, I'm not partially autistic. I am, full on smack dab in the middle of the damn scale. But the thing with autism that a lot of people don't understand is that it presents itself in different ways, literally for every single subject. there are no two people whose autism presents in exactly the same way. And so the things that qualify a person for the diagnosis are generally very subjective things, which makes it difficult to diagnose as well. But they're subjective things, and it's mostly about how a person interacts with other people and the world around them. And there are some extreme cases, obviously, where a person is more or less dysfunctional, or at least socially dysfunctional. And I used to be more socially dysfunctional. I've learned how to, and it takes a tremendous amount of energy. I mean, if I like I play poker, and you see my poker hat here. I'll go out to play poker, and after a couple hours at sitting at poker tables with other human beings, I am exhausted.
Masking, it takes a lot of energy.
I love to play the game, but being around people really exhausts me, and I need to go home and crawl into bed for a couple hours.
Crawl into your bear cave.
Yeah.
Hibernate.
Yeah.
That's kind of like that whole, masking taking so much energy. That is kind of how my partner started first realizing that they have autism, and they've been diagnosed. Last year they were diagnosed. And they would go to doctors on a bi-monthly basis saying, I am bone exhausted to my soul. I am so tired and exhausted. And I think that there must be something physically horribly wrong with me because of how exhausted I am, especially after I have to go out and be social. And that didn't click as, an energy drain from masking until years later. And finally they were like, thank God that I don't have cancer, thank God that there's not something so wrong with me. And this is why I'm fatigued. And I finally have an answer. So there was a lot of relief that came with being diagnosed, for them at least.
Yeah. And imagine what it was like growing up in the 50s and 60s when, it was not a common diagnosis at all. And people had no idea what it was. They just thought I was weird. And, and they thought I was lazy, because I would, after an hour or two of being around people, I was literally exhausted to the point where my eyes would start involuntarily closing. Yeah. So, learning about it is just an amazing gift. Just learning that, okay, this is what it is. And then being able to do a little research and finding out how to deal with it. And, I had this added benefit of the ceremonial work that I did with my friends out in Arizona, because a lot of that was incredibly helpful.
Oh, the Arizona weirdos.
The Arizona weirdos, as opposed to just me, the weirdo.
You got a whole clan of them now.
Yeah, whole bunch of weird,
a stone cold pack of weirdos.
Yeah.
Yep. So we do have a comment, and it is a spam comment, but I'm going to read it anyway for comedic value.
Okay, good.
Okay, this came in on our Twitch, where we have 2 viewers right now. And this is from Rude Crick. And they said, hi, I want to offer promotion of your channel. Viewers, followers, views, chatbots. The price is lower than any competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. Auto on. I don't know what that means. Incredibly flexible and convenient order management panel. Everything is in your hands. Turn it on, /off, /customize. Go to, and then they said the website, but I'm not going to say the website.
Yeah, don't say the website. We don't need to get.
But they spelled it out, and they spelled out the .com so that Twitch wouldn't auto find them and auto ban the comment.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why the damn anti-spam bots haven't learned to recognize .com spelled out as words as being,
We'll get there eventually.
Spelling porn with a 0. It's like
Yeah. Nowadays it's more common to spell it with a C or just use the corn emoji.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not as advanced at this Twitter stuff. Well, thank you for that entertaining comment. You know, I just hope that, you know, whatever, whoever it is that's sitting in that call center in
Wherever.
wherever it is, I hope that they got a little entertainment value out of watching our production here, because that's what we're here for. We're just here to make your day, give you 1 hour of joy in the middle of your otherwise tedious existence.
Because that's showbiz, baby. Jazz hands.
Always the jazz hands.
While we're talking about the production of this, I have this microphone here, and I look at the other live streams, and I look at the other podcasts, the video podcasts, and everybody's always got the microphone like right there in the frame with them.
And it's always with the mesh too.
And I mean, it's oftentimes got, the pop filters, or it's one of those SM7s like we have in the other studio. Or some showy, I've got a microphone here thing. And I mean, I could just as easily, now I've got it set up, I couldn't, but this microphone would work just as well if it was down here and out of the picture, and you would still be able to hear me, and we would still be able to have a wonderful conversation. But I felt like in order to really have podcaster cred, like street cred, but podcast cred, I needed to have the microphone in the frame, in the picture, and it had to be an attractive microphone. I mean, I've got a number of microphones around here. I mean, I got a whole damn recording studio full of them. I could have I chose this microphone because they all pretty much, for this purpose anyway, they would all work. I could use an SM57 or an SM58, which is like a really popular stage mic with the little silver ball on the end of it, one of those. I mean, but this I think is a really pretty microphone, and you don't see this on a lot of podcasts. This is a Shure SM8, which is this is my favorite stage mic when I used to go out and play live. This one, it always felt really good and worked really good with my voice, but I don't do that anymore. So now it lives here in this in this stand, and I can swing it out.
I was just about to say, you picked that location more so for the ergonomics, if you will.
No, it's for, I mean, it's definitely for, and I tried it different ways. There was one where it was like up here, and there was one where, it came in down here, but I felt like that was too obtrusive. And even though, I mean, I see a lot of these podcasts and they've got it right up here, and you can't see half of their face for the damn microphone. And, I just thought this was a nice placement for it, but
maybe you could
that's why this microphone is here. It is live and I am using it. But yeah, sometimes they've got them hanging down from above, and it's like covers their whole damn face. And I mean, who would want to cover this up, right?
Well, I was thinking you can make a hat, and then just have, if we want to be like obnoxious about it, like put a microphone attached to the hat.
I actually have over here.
Of course you do.
I have a lav mic, which I could just pin on here like they do on talk shows. Very unobtrusive, and I could easily have used that. And it sounds fine,
but I think this one's good.
Yeah, I mean, it serves the purpose, and it's very podcastery because it's right there and I look like I'm on an important radio show or something, but
you are.
That does look very official.
We're just talking about shit. Okay. Bears Law number 3, real briefly, because I think this is important. You are your own greatest authority.
Ooh.
So what this means is the things that you say to yourself. And we talked about this a little bit on one of the podcasts, I think, about when I used to lose things. And I would always say to myself, I would say, well, why do I always lose my keys? And that like reinforces the message inside my head from my own highest authority, who is me. So whatever you say to yourself, about yourself, you are going to believe. So say good things about yourself, learn to love yourself, learn to treat yourself with kindness, learn to tell yourself things like, reward yourself, say, hey, great job. I'm really proud to have accomplished that. And I wrote 5 sentences today, and that's 5 times as much as I set out to do. And I can be really proud of that. And I can feel like I really had a nice accomplishment. And, so treat yourself with kindness, because Bear's Law number 3, you are your own greatest authority.
And you, according to Green Day, are also your own worst enemy.
Well, it goes either way. And, the fact, it's the same thing. You're your own greatest authority. And if you're saying shitty things about yourself, that makes you your own greatest enemy. But if you're saying really, really kind things about yourself and really encouraging things about yourself, like instead of, why do I always lose my keys? You say, where will I find my keys today? And you're already telling yourself that you're going to find them. And
what will they do next?
This works. Yeah. What great thing will I accomplish next? What great thing will I accomplish in the next 15 minutes? Because that's how much time I've got before my next appointment. Then you're bound to have a better day. And if not, it's not like you've lost anything trying, right?
That's true.
All right. So I have slowed down on learning sign language because I've switched to learning Spanish. So that because Rose and I are next week, we're not going to do a live stream next week because Rose and I will be celebrating a combination Valentine's Day anniversary, which are right around the same time. And we will be out of town. And I just gave it away because I'm learning Spanish. We will be out of town in a place that speaks Spanish.
Well, that is not giving it away. I mean, there's plenty of countries in the world that speak Spanish.
Yeah.
With it.
One of them is closer than others. And so that ought to be a hint. So I haven't learned any more sign language, and I'll probably pick it up again after we get back. In the meantime, I think we are
All done
for today. And thank you all for, especially, what was his name? Tyler?
Yes.
Tyler.
Yeah, call out to Tyler. We appreciate your participation. And we look forward to seeing you all next time.
See y'all. Bye.
Bye.